So one of the things, actually I forgot to include, was the ability to tilt. So I've noticed on a lot of the boxes that they, when you're dipping them, you're tilting. And I'm like, well, what's the advantage? Is it because of the way the water lays? Because if you do it like that, the water falls up. But then I realized, well, it gives it stability. So essentially what I want to do is put a leg on it that will hold it in place. And it just so happens, here's serendipitous. I've got some really nice plywood. This stuff is straight and strong, this is Baltic birch ply, 6mm, and it is perfectly flush right there. So if I were to put a hinge right there, and then some sort of catch so it doesn't go too far, I will have my leg on it, and it folds up perfectly flush. That could not have worked out any better. So I'm going to cut this. I think I got a hinge or two in the toolbox, and apply it and see what happens. Well, I started thinking about it, and I figured that I had this piece of plywood. It would fit there just very nice. Effectively just put a hinge on there. It lifts up, and then we have this action here where it boxes up and it supports it like that. The only problem is I can't find a good way to stop it. So, this effectively the hinge will take it all the way around, so I lose any bit of rigidity there. I thought about, okay, well, if I put a string or something like that, or a chain, that will work, but when I close it, I'll just have that chain hanging down, and that'll get caught on something. So, my next option is, I'm going to, instead of swinging it this way, I'm going to swing it out and then cut this at a prescribed angle. I think I'm going to go with 30 degrees, so it'll tilt. Oh. Stuff's slippery right now. So effectively, it will tilt at a 30-degree angle like that. But in order to do that, I have to attach it to the side here, so I got to be really careful I don't go into the plexiglass. And the other thing is with the hinge, the screws for the hinge. Well, first of all, the limitation there is the screws are too long. They would go through there, so I have to screw them in and then grind them off, and I'm not too much work. So in order to make this swing out, I think what I'm going to do is put the hinge along this line so it screws into this piece, so I'm good there. But now as I swing out, the problem is the hinge. Wait a minute. Put a strip there. Oh, I could swing that out. And let me swing that out. Well, put the hinge in backwards, it'll be more flush. I think my initial idea here is to affix a piece of thicker wood like that, and then have the hinge attached on there, and that'll give it support. This will be glued to that, and this hinge will be flush with that edge, and then when I swing it out, it gives it a stop, so it's not going to swing too far out. So I think that's the way I'm going to go with that. I still will have the issue of, it might fall in. You got to figure out how best to keep that from happening. All right. I will keep experimenting. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'm not I'm going to experiment with it real quick. But effectively what I've done is I've taken a sheet of 1/2 inch, I've cut it to size for this. I've cut a strip off, and I'm going to put a hinge on one side like that. And I'm sure anybody who knows anything about hinges knows that I'm putting them in backwards, but there's a reason for that, because I like this 90-degree stop on this side, and the hinges will be the round part will be hidden or some below the line layer. Anyway, so I'm going to put this like that, and ideally this is going to rotate up, and the box, when it leans, this will be on the ground. So I still don't have a stop for it collapsing that way. I'll figure that out as I go. There, it'll hold it in place. That is good and solid. So what I'll do is in the darkroom make a place that it holds up like that for portability. I can take it out to dump the chemicals, and it will go to that angle when I dip my film inside here. So so I am going to come back and sand this up and glue that strip on. I think that'll do well. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this. I was just trying to be smart about it and turned up to be stupid about it. Anywho, so the next step on this will be to put a handle and a latch, and then I have to come up with a method. Take this off. Method of actually dipping and holding the film in. I'm debating on making it part of this, so I lift up. I don't know how well that'll work, but we'll see. The other thing that I'll do on this is, take this off, and sand it down just a bit. I think I want to put maybe a rubber gasket around this edge here, so that when it's on and I got my clips on the side, then it will create just a little bit better watertight seal. Alright, so one of the problems I tried to solve was how to keep this from flying open, and it's late, so I was getting a little silly and playful. So essentially what I did was I have some rare earth magnets. There we go. So I just embedded a rare earth magnet and used some super glue to hold it in. Put a screw right there. Boom. Holds it in place. Does a good job. Awesome. Yeah, just a little. I'm trying to find a reason to use these little screws, these little rare earths.